Blessings, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Walk with Faith with Molly Faith. Please welcome special guest Trina Meeks. Hi, Trina.
Hi.
Okay, so you're saying this should have a disclaimer, a trigger warning, right? What? How so?
The reason for a disclaimer is what I say is what I know right now. But that's always going to change while I grow in this, because I'm very new. But what I know is what I know right now.
Okay.
So things could change. It's like take what resonates with you, but it's only been. So that's a disclaimer. It's like I've only been at this for like 2.5 years. And I can honestly say it's only in the last 5 months that I really, I was nice. I really grew up and started learning the real process for me. I started realizing that it was deeper than I thought it was ever going to be. I mean, blue pill, red pill. I mean, you can just throw that away. When you're talking the spiritual realms, I mean the real spiritual realms, it's really super deep. And right now I'm on the surface of maybe understanding that there's more to go.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more to go. I mean, I don't want to scare anybody, and that is not what I'm here to do. But what I am here to do is that it takes effort. And it takes discipline and courage to walk this walk. It's not like they say for the faint at hearts. This is not something that you're going to get done in any timely manner. This is a process of internal growth. It's an inside job.
Right. I agree with you, Trina.
So, what do I know?
Where did it start for you?
Yes. Where
did it start?
I'm glad you asked that question, because wherever it starts for anyone will be the awakening that you are awake. Because I was asleep for 59 years, but I was spiritual. But not in the sense of being awake and spiritual. Those are two different concepts. In fact, they're so different, it's borderline shocking that, yes, that is my playground. I've always heard that this world is your playground. And it most definitely is your playground. Absolutely. But how are you going to play? That's the difference.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I'm seeing now that people do to people, and I'm thinking to myself, why did you even do that? Why did you go there?
Yeah.
Why would you even want to hurt another human being? For instance, and this is simple stuff. This is really simple about what I'm going to say here. So I was supposed to have an audit for my job, what I do for my business. And I did a few emails and a couple phone calls because I don't have a building. These people knew this. So the last conversation I had with the person says, Trina, just disregard the emails. Don't respond to them. I says, you don't want me to respond to the emails? She says, yeah, don't respond to them. I said, okay, so we're good. She says, yes, do not respond to them. They'll get back to you later. They called me up today asking me to do an inspection, and then tried to throw in my face, well, you signed a waiver, you signed the agreement that we can show up at any time.
So can you explain to people what's been going on and what this facility is, because this is a big deal, and what you do? Because people are not.
What I do is my business right now, or what I'm walking into right now?
Well, both, because you mentioned your business and then you mentioned the building. And yeah, so could you break it down for people that aren't familiar?
So I do motorcycle training. I do driver's education. I'm a trainer. I'm not an educator. And what I mean by trainer is I train for Pacific outcome. I'm a Pacific person. I'm looking for Pacific things so you can get the better outcome of your training, of your education, so you can grow up and be the best version of yourself. And I'm learning these words. I never used to say stuff like this, okay? But what I'm talking about is not, it had nothing to do with my business. It had nothing to do with that I was supposed to do this or that in the audit. What it had to do with is these people deliberately, knowingly set me up
See, and we're gonna get
to
there.
fail me.
So this is interesting, Trina. I want you to explain to people this property, this building, what it's for, and what you're doing, because this is a big deal. And then we're gonna tie it into these people.
Yeah. So I was awakened, I guess, at 59 years old. And during that time, I was 6 months after I was wakened, I got my own land for my own business. And during that process, it was pretty easy, actually. But then, because I was waking and I was going through the dark nights of the soul, at the same time I was purchasing and putting effort into this business, I was losing myself. I didn't know that when you're waking up and you have a broken soul and a wounded child, that you might have to go through the dark nights of the soul.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even think the word is might. I think it's the truth. Yeah. I think everybody that does this doesn't get away without going to the dark nights of the soul, because the dark nights of the soul is fighting ego and soul. Right. It's not heaven and hell. It's fighting your own ego and your soul. They want to stay alive. So what I'm getting at is that I was buying this land and growing this business. At the same time, I'm going through the dark nights of the soul.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah, this is, and I can even go back. It's amazing how all this stuff was tied in, but you don't see it because you don't think it's related to one effort after your other effort. And what I mean by effort is that it was all intertwined for the same outcome. They're all lessons.
Mm-hmm.
They were all lessons, okay? But so I'm at the building here. When it came 1 year and 3 reviews later, the city decided to tell me that, no, you can't operate your business here because you're in a no-fly zone, which is Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. That's where the planes fly over. Okay, so I'm going, why? How can this happen? I bought this land based on the fact that you said I can do this, but the person who woke me up, after a year, I ended up with a healer and a reader. Somebody made a phone call, wanted to do a motorcycle course. We had a conversation that was close to mine, and I shared my experience with her. And she says, oh, I have 2 numbers for you. And I called those 2 numbers. In a year and some odd months later, things are changing. Things are falling apart. Yeah. But yet, I'm okay. They're helping, but things aren't getting better. I mean, it's like 1 step forward and 5 steps back. And I couldn't understand that.
Right.
So after a year and 3 months later, or 3 reviews later, they tell me that I can't operate this business at this location. And I was, no, that can't happen. So she told me, my first healer, to go get a lawyer. I was going to need a lawyer. You know, when I finished this conversation, at the end of the day, if they knew I needed a lawyer, they would have known I should have done this to not have to go through all that. But that's not how that worked out.
Right.
They never told me how to solve it. They just told me what I needed to do. Before I knew it, they were trying to dress up this whole land. I made a business plan out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, this business plan came down to me, and I wrote it out, and she says, okay, you can go ahead and send it out now. My business plan was stolen by 4 different companies.
Can you explain to people what this business plan, just briefly, what is for, why this is so sacred?
What it was for, and I say was.
Okay.
Because, see, the business plan was a business plan based on people's ideas, not mine.
Okay.
It was planted into me.
So now it's shifted.
Yeah, it was planted into me, and I did not know that.
Okay.
These people were actually massaging me for my land, for their own profit, for their own ideas.
Right.
I did not know that until I separated myself a year and some odd months later. I figured, you know what? I'm not getting anywhere any faster. I might as well do this by myself. And I did. But before I made that decision, I called Huna. Huna sealed me. Huna talks about holding the darkness long enough until the light comes in. And when I'm talking about sealed, it is source, ascension, element, light, pure source power. And when I disassociated myself with all these people that I was around, I started to learn that my true identity, my true self, my true passion, my true destiny, and my soul's mission was to build for the 144.
Yep.
And this land, the people who know me, I have went through a lot. It doesn't matter. I've given up everything for this land because it's out of love. I'm doing it out of love. Mostly and thoroughly, it's out of love. Because if you don't have that, you have nothing.
Right. True. Truth. Facts.
I was taken by an unknown man at 11 years old.
There you go. Okay.
And left for dead. Because, see, I used to say it like that.
And assaulted, right?
Yeah. Until I knew the truth, I always said I was taken by an unknown man and left for dead. I never said that word because I never knew I was.
And you can spell it out. I'm sure. Can we spell it out, Ryan? The word? No, you can't? Yeah, see, YouTube's strict. Dang. Okay. Never mind. Just kidding. So, assaulted and left for dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get this out because it's kind of like my essence right now is jumping, but it's not jumping, but it feels jumping right now. Because the story needs to be written.
Exactly.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because this is beautiful. I mean, and people look at me and go, what do you mean it's beautiful? Because it's a lesson. I couldn't have asked for a better person to wake me up. He's my twin, by the way, but I didn't know that at the time. I couldn't have asked for a better lesson from somebody that loves me.
I think that's beautiful.
If he didn't love me, I don't know where I would have been. Okay? I really don't. But he loved me enough, even though it wasn't pretty and even though it didn't feel good. And he wouldn't help me. And I think that was my biggest thing. He wouldn't help me. And I was losing myself. But I didn't know that when you're going through a dark night of the soul, you are going to lose yourself if you don't get help. So these are the things, if I want to get this out, these are the things that we need to be aware of for people that if they are wakened up. It's like somebody asked me, well, what about the people in prison? Yes, they are broken souls and wounded childs. Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
Everybody has light and everybody is of some dark. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
But you have true darkness. And then you have mixed. Right now, I think most of the people out here are mixed.
Yeah.
So how do I know where I'm at today and who I am? Because I've gone through the darkness and they can't have her.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have me. I say her because her is a high priestess.
Storm.
She'll stand up every single time.
Can I say her name? Storm?
Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Storm saved me when I was laying there at 11 years old. She told me to get up or die, and I did. I got up, but she said it twice. She didn't say it once, she said it twice. Okay? When I was wakened and my guy held me in his arms, I let go of everything I ever was or ever been. And I didn't even know that. And if Storm wouldn't have woke up and said, wait a minute, this isn't going to happen, I would have crossed and it would have been worse. Because, see, there was entities, and people don't believe that there's entities on people. Wow.
There are.
My whole life went upside down.
There are.
Because he attached to me whatever he had on him, he gave to me. And I don't even know if he knew about it. I don't even think he knew about most of it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that after the fact, when you have an envy, jealous person trying to take your essence, this is where the land comes in. I went through probably about $550,000 worth of fighting for this land.
I think it's really interesting, Trina, what you're doing. Like, you're building, this land is going to be like a training ground or just a facility for one of the many, what I'm hearing, for the 144. This is plays such a huge role on the ascension of the planet, for the ascension of the planet. And you really came up against some really dark like the opposite team, basically, that wanted to that wanted to stop it, really wanted to stop it. And you've been fighting. You've been fighting.
Not only stop it, but take my essence, bankrupt me, put me in poverty.
Yeah.
They stole my motorcycles, and all I did was, okay, so I went down to my other location, got bikes, and brought them up here. Everything that they have done, I just got up and walked and did it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's for everyone. I'm not saying everybody can do what I do. But I've always been a relentless person. But I was asleep. What makes the difference now is I'm relentless and awake. That's huge.
Yeah. A warrior. A soldier.
Well, when you can go down the darkness and stand in front of it and not be taken by it, yeah, it has no influence on you.
Yeah.
It has no influence on you because it cannot buy you. It can't bribe you. It can't.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I'm agreeing with you. Exactly. It can't be bribed, can't be bought, because of integrity, your morals, your honor.
This mission, even though the business plan was stolen, they missed the point. And that's the point. They missed the point. They may have stole the business plan, but they did it out of ego and jealousy and pride and envy. They did it all for the wrong reason. And that's why it's not working.
Right.
The reason why this land even exists is a 3.15 acre land. It's got 112 acres worth of federal land on the east side of it. On the north side, it has nothing. It has Davis Mawson's boneyard. I mean, this is beautiful. On the south side is a little bit of city stuff. On the west side is nothing but, it has one building, big, nothing. That's it, one building, done. And it oversees mountains all the way around.
So can you tell people what you, if you want to, what you're planning on building? There's going to be like 4 buildings. Do you want to share it or not?
Sure. I mean, I'm an open book. It's just that I'm new in this.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it, and I can get a little, I can't be.
You're awesome though, Trina. Your energy is
beautiful. I could talk a mile a minute, man. I'm a FedEx commercial, and you need to slow me down to say, oops.
No, please.
it's kind of like putting a bell out there, because the passion and the drive that I have and the reality that I know this is real for me is huge. I don't know if anybody can honestly say, I won't say nobody, let me rephrase that. There's not a lot of people out there who can say they're on their soul's mission, okay?
Yeah.
And when you can stand on all 4 toes, wait a minute, there's 10. Maybe that was 4 paws. I don't know. Yeah, there's our pooches, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, when you can stand on 10 toes, and I mean stand, you can't be shaken. You can't be pushed. You can't be denied.
Right.
Yeah. You know you're on your soul's mission because it's inside of you. Now, I didn't get this overnight, okay? This didn't happen to me overnight. It took, 59 years for one, but 2, it took 2.5 years after that, but not really. I had to be stilled so nobody can steal my essence, to understand really what this land was all about. This land is based on a spiritual realm that the outside is nothing. The inside is everything. In other words, I have Ride Arizona, which is a motorcycle training facility, and we train people how to ride motorcycles. The first building after that is what I call phase 2, but the first building is the art of training. That building is going to be everything for self-defense, okay? There's 4 levels of it. There's a lot of people out here that do not know how to train to protect themselves.
Right.
And when this country, when this world is being split in half, and it is, and it will, we're going through the mission, going through the process of the change of this world. You're going to want to know how to do that. The building behind this building will be for spiritual, whether it be for the dark nights of the soul, because you need to know how to navigate through it. It's not an easy task. Some is harder, some can be easier. But when you have years of darkness and years of stuff that you've done to yourself that you don't even realize you've done it. See, the trigger wasn't today. The trigger was many years ago, and probably not even this lifetime, many lifetimes. We're breaking generational curses here.
Yeah.
That long people could not break because they were bought, sold, and bribed.
Yep.
The other thing that the spiritual building is everything. It's not just one set of spirituality here. It's like Huna says, and I'm going to mention him, and I hope he's okay with this. I'm going to have to call him up and say, dude, I mentioned you in a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't care what you believe. He cares about if you have the light or not in you.
Exactly. That's same with me. Exactly.
So I'm a believer that I don't care what you practice, what color, what shape, what anything you are.
Right.
I'm here to bring the light into you.
Right.
I'm here to hold the darkness long enough so the light will come in.
Mm-hmm.
I have other people as such as yourself as a reader. I've learned more on how to understand other people. It wasn't even really about me. These readings weren't about me. These readings were about understanding what the other person is going through and why it even happened this way.
Right.
Some of the readings do tell me that, it did happen to me this way. But anymore, it doesn't matter. And I've learned that within 4 to 6 months. Which means that I've learned more in 4 and 6. I've learned more from March or February 22nd, 2024 to this point, which is September 16th, than I did in the 2 years that I was with the other people that were supposed to help me.
Yeah.
The other thing is, whoever wants to join and bring in, the other person that's part of this business is a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Catholic, okay? I don't know anything about it. But I asked the person, I says, do they teach this in your Catholic church? And he says, no. And I'm thinking, why not?
Right.
The understanding of, and this is where it gets deep, and it might be too deep. You might need to cut this down. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
The understanding that we're guarded now, the people that are really awake, because we need to be. In order for us to actually do the mission, we just can't entertain certain things anymore.
Right. I agree with you completely.
Yep. Which is a whole different playing field.
Mm-hmm.
But once you can understand, like the people that were trying to take my essence, my business, and control me in a way they could puppet master me right out of my existence,
Mm-hmm.
I am so guarded that no one can penetrate that anymore. What happened in the scenario is, and it can go any way. It doesn't go just one way. It just went this way for me. In other words, one phone call, a person just told her story, and I went, wow, that's just what I went through. She offered those numbers to me. It's something as simple as that, and I didn't even see it coming.
Yeah. And this was your past reader or
Yeah.
healer? Past reader.
Past reader and healer.
And
Yep.
healer. Okay.
Yep. Which I didn't even see it coming. There are people out there that don't want to work, that don't want to build for themselves. They'd rather take other people's ideas and let them do the work.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what was happening. But that's not the end of the story. Not only did all that happen, I find out the guy who woke me up is my twin.
How did that happen? Do you mind me asking?
We were together for 1.5 years in training, firearm training. And I'll be honest, because that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
We were training for about 1 year. And then one day, I realized I was paying to see him. And I didn't even know why. I didn't know why I was so drawn to this person that all he had to do was stand there, and that was it. I fell in love with him. And all he did was stand there. He didn't do anything. He was just standing there. But there was something about his presence that just drew me to him. And one day, I went to a training, and I looked at him. I says, "Don't be afraid." And whoop, yes, this brings back little memories here.
Mm-hmm.
But I says, "Don't be afraid." And I put my hand on his chest. And I said, "That's what I want right there." And I have no idea why I said that. Whatever he had inside of him is what I desired. He had a presence. And he still does, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of garbaged up.
With those
but
negative.
After 1.5 years, December 12th, 2021, he came on my range to take a motorcycle course. The moment he stepped out of his truck, I looked at him and I just told myself, he would protect you no matter what. Don't know why that came to me. And he came up to me and I looked at him and I says, "You're all I ever wanted, all I ever needed, and I don't want to go anywhere."
Oh my gosh. Ooh. Ooh. I know.
You're talking a presence, wow. A presence so strong that when he held me for just a little bit, this wasn't the massive one. This was just the baby one, okay? This baby one is like electrodes. Electrodes, okay? Then we did the class. And then he turned around like halfway into the course and looked north And I kid you not, looked north and said, I love you.
Oh my gosh,
I was
Trina.
behind him and I was frozen.
Wow.
I had no idea what was going on. At the end of the course, the other guy that was with us, he went. And I looked at my guy and I says, I don't know what it is, but you're supposed to teach me something. And about 5 minutes later, I jumped him. Don't know why, just did. Told him I needed him. 4 times I said it. And he held me in his arms to the point from my lower self that it was just rising. A massive white light was rising through my body. I got as far as to my belly button. I couldn't hang on anymore. And when we separated, I almost fell to my knees. It was that powerful and that strong.
Whoa.
That was a soul activation that I didn't even know existed until about 3 or 4 months ago, that a soul activation took place. We are twins. A magnetic pull force. We were activated. Now, I don't know if anybody out there has ever heard of this. I know I haven't. But see, the whole problem is I ran. I wasn't supposed to run that day, and I ran. And I didn't understand why I ran. Until probably, a couple of weeks ago, High Priestess shows up. I didn't know I had a High Priestess, which is Storm, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff, it's like one of those things where you just keep going, and you keep learning. And before you know it, you're kind of putting the pieces together how this all worked its way through.
Yeah.
It's like, I call him my guy because that's what he did the very first day. This all started when he wanted me to put a name on a target that I loved. And I didn't love anything or anyone, but yet his name came up. And I tried to hold it in. I did. For 59 years, I didn't love anything or anyone. How can I possibly love this person? I couldn't understand that. And that was before he held me.
I don't even know what to say. I have nothing to say. I'm just
I don't
deeply.
know what to say either,
I'm
except for
deeply
I have
listening.
experienced it, okay?
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's so absolutely intense and beautiful. I think the thing that popped into my mind is so many twins, you know, they go, my tummy's growling. It's confirmation. So many twins, they either, it's like separation, back, forth, or they don't come together. But what you just described, a vision I got was just, or was almost like, just imagine what would happen, or what is going to happen when you guys finally fully come into union.
We're going to need a little bit of an army around us.
You
okay?
already do, I'm sure.
I think we're going to need some guidance here because I don't really think you're right.
The light,
in some kind of way, we're probably a little bit afraid to touch each other.
But it's that that awakening. It's that awakening, that light, that force.
Yep.
That shift that's going to happen. Imagine if that happened with you and happened with all the other twins. That's what popped into my mind. I mean, how powerful that would be. I mean, just what you're describing is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Just so people know, this is 4 years going. All right? 4 years is a long time for me.
Yeah.
And going through the land, the awakening, the healer and the reader, and all the destructive behavior that tried to take that land from me. It wasn't just the land because they know what it's for now. The land is for the 144. They know this. They didn't want it built. Them is the kingdom of darkness, okay? That's the them. They tried everything and anything and threw everything at me, and they failed. They have nothing to stand on anymore. In fact, the people who invested in this are not doing very well because of it. I'll come back to a moment to explain why. I just said that.
Okay.
But they not only did that, they separated. We were going to separate anyway, okay? That was a given. We both weren't ready for this. We felt something we both never felt in our entire existence of life. We both never felt love before. We never fell in love before. We never felt that presence before. We didn't know what this was. Me and him both didn't know anything. And here I am, 62, and he's 51. I mean, my gosh, there's a lot of people out there that doesn't actually feel this feeling. And maybe it's not for everyone that will have one in this lifetime. But I know it happened between us two.
Yeah.
They tried to anything and everything. They told me things that he was this, that, and the other thing. And I won't say it, okay? Because I know you'll have to delete it or something. But what I'm getting at is they tried every tactic to get me to pull away from this man. And I couldn't do it. There was just something that would not allow me to do it. And the last time was in March, right after I was sealed. She said, my healer said, you're going to have to let him go. 2 days later, I says, no, I need you to let me go. I says, you deserve the best. I said, I can't do what you're asking me to do. You're going to have to let me go because I can't let him go. And I am so grateful that I did not. Because what ended up happening was everything they tried to do was everything they were, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
The games, the manipulation, the lie, I mean, the spells, mirror, blood, water, you name it, beauty. Whatever they try to throw at us didn't work. Now, I have to ask myself, why would they go through all this effort to do this? Because that's the bigger question.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the concept that it's better to have two than one, to be to ignite, the force,
Of course.
to raise the vibration.
Of course.
The massive amount of energy that we have together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I might have to be not in a pad, but I might have to be asleep a lot or something, because when I get overexcited and over energy, I have to go lay down.
No, but it's true. The force, the energy, the frequency of the two together is a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a force to be reckoned with. It's a major threat. It's a major threat to the kingdom of darkness. Absolutely.
Yeah. I had to ask myself, why did they go through all this effort to do this? And it's a lot of information. Truly a lot of information. The letters or the chapters I wrote is nothing compared to what I'm going to write when I'm going to write another chapter saying closing out cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Closing out negative cycles. And I didn't know this even existed. In other words, you go meet somebody or something and you just play along and you think life is like that without realizing that they are not who they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
I let people, how do I say this politely, walk over me, not knowing that I was being walked on.
Right.
Now, you want to talk about guarded. You're going to respect this girl, okay? Or you're not getting past go.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly.
Okay, there's...
Thank you.
And that's my lesson. I mean, I had to go through all this to learn that. Why couldn't you just taught me that in school or something? Why couldn't you just given me that in an essay?
I know, because we have to learn boundaries, and that's something that's very difficult for us because we have, yeah.
It's hard.
It's very hard. I understand that.
You don't want to let somebody down. It's like they tried to take me away from my guy. And I had to finally ask, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I had to finally ask, why are you trying to take this land from me? It wasn't just because these people were draining me of my essence for someone else. Don't think they can't steal your identity. They most certainly can. From experience, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you what I do not know. And that's what Huna says. You cannot know what you do not know. If you don't know this exists, how are you going to know it's even happening?
Right.
That's what this is all about. And that's only the second building. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I haven't talked about the third and the fourth and the fifth building yet.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the two main buildings that I need to, or I want to establish for this purpose. And even if I put the first building up first, I can always put all the spiritual in the first building.
Right.
Until the second building is built, and then transfer it over into the second building.
Yeah, stages, different phases.
But these are not my ideas, and I'm going to explain what I'm talking about here. By the way, before I say that, there's a spiritual book, a prayer book that I was asked to purchase.
that I had told you about?
Yeah. And the very first one is like, wow, that word infallible. I remember when my guy gave me that word, he said, I asked him, what does God really mean? And he says infallible. And I looked it up because I didn't even know what that word meant. Infallible means, and I looked it up almost 4 years ago, by the way, but infallible means incapable, underline incapable of making a mistake. Or being wrong.
Exactly.
Never, and underline never, failing.
Right.
And always, and underline always, effective.
That is God.
Even though this stuff hurt, even though I had to walk through the darkness to know that they can't have me, even though I had to go through all this trial, at the end of the day, I stand on 10 toes, and I know.
What is it? Baptized or refined by fire?
One more time?
You know, baptism by fire or being refined by fire.
Oh, I've been forged in fire.
To make you into
and that's
precious
an understatement,
gold.
but yes, I've been
Shiny,
forged by fire
gold.
just to get to the water.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Without a doubt. But what's so beautiful about it is that I know. I always used to ask people, how do you know? Well, you will know. See, that type of conversation doesn't get me anywhere, okay? And this is where I think a lot of educators, which is why I'm a trainer, I train on specific things. Once this comes up, I want to get people, we want to get things together to where this isn't all about me, because it's not. In fact, at the end of the day, I want to build this and go away, truthfully. I always want to go to the mountains and hibernate after all this. But I know that's not my calling.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, Joan on Arc is also in this prayer book. When somebody told me, Trina, no, you're Joan the Arc. This facility is not going to be like any other facility of spiritual awakening. Ever.
Like a sanctuary, a training
It
facility
is.
sanctuary.
And this is deep. This is about saving souls, going down the deepest, darkest tunnels and holding the darkness long enough till the light comes in.
I think that's
beautiful. You have to be trained for that. That's not an easy task.
Yep.
And am I shaking right now? Just a little bit.
You got this.
But I have this.
Yep.
But it's that much of a passion and excitement that I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yet I don't want to be back down either.
No.
It's one of those medium type of things that you're not this, you're not that, but you're kind of like right where you need to be.
Exactly.
To get the job done. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly, Trina.
So those are the two, that the motorcycle side, the building for training, and this is this is deep in the training, because this is also for law enforcement and other facilities that want to come out and lease this building for training. But the training is mainly for civilians. I'm not talking about having an army, because that's not what we do. What I'm talking about, if you're going to come home, of course, you're going to call 911 if the door is open. You should not go in. That's just the end of the story right there.
Yeah.
The problem is that 911 almost doesn't exist. Okay? Just doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So this is a type of situation where you learn how to clear your own house, or you learn how to disarm someone. Disarming someone is a lot easier than putting anything in them, period.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is not about training in a level that, no, we're disarming, whether it's verbal or it's actual taking.
Yeah.
Without actually doing the act.
I think that's good.
Total different concept.
Right.
And the spiritual side is way deep. In fact, I'm going to. It's called, what I want to call it, invisible justice.
Mm-hmm.
For people that just simply do not know. I can't save the universe, even though that's the first thing he says. No, Trina, you can't save the universe. Because he can already tell how I'm thinking. He already knows what I want to do and how big I want to go.
Right.
But it's getting to the right point and the right people. And maybe, for me, I might have to step back.
No, you're such a powerful
just a
force.
little bit. I might have to just go in my spa and say, no, I'm meditating.
Yeah, well, the meditation is always
Seriously.
Yeah.
The other buildings are for, that I want to build is for people who are coming out of state and doing the training. And they have a place to stay, so they don't have to rent out a hotel room or anything of that nature. Everything is right there. It's sustain. In other words, we have a well on this land, okay? There's a fence around it. We're good. So this land is going to be self-contained, is what I'm getting at.
Wow. Okay.
Not easy really, there's a lot of places that are not like this. This is not what you think it is. And I like the word sanctuary. Didn't even think about that until now when you said it. But this will be for anywhere from a 12 to 15 person living quarters, everything in it type deal. That's definitely going to be, it's a work in progress. It's definitely going to be down the road. Yeah. It's huge.
Do you have people investing? Do you have investors? Do you have people assisting you? You doing this? Like, how are you doing this, Trina? If you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to share.
So, I'm pausing. Because of who I am, and I did not want to bring anything into phase 2. I'm doing phase 1 all by myself. I'm clearing out everything so it cannot affect phase 2.
Okay.
Until I get that occupancy in my hands, I am not going after phase 2. It's already built, by the way. It's already designed. It is that. But I want to get phase 1 done, because that is old behavior. All that existed because of something else.
Okay.
And it needs to be cleared out, cleaned out, zeroed out.
Close out old cycles.
Yep, exactly. Once that happens, which is very close because I have the permits now to finish out phase 1, then I'll start looking into adventures of either searching out for people who want to invest in this concept and this idea. Until then, I don't want to mix it, because I don't need to look like that I don't know what I'm doing. And that's exactly how these people wanted me to be portrayed. Because you see, when this first land started, I was already venturing out for contracts from the government and getting loans and processing it. It's only when I could not finish phase 1 because of all the interferences
Right.
that I could not go to phase 2 and I had to stop. So all the contracts that could have came to me and went to the other people will come back around.
Yeah.
But the land has to be settled first. And that's just the truth.
52,
That's who I am.
52 on the clock when you said interferences and you had to stop. I looked right down at the clock and it was 52, 52. So that may be significant, or 77.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know the interferences are far and few in between now because they just gave up. They know it's a losing battle now. They know they lost. They know there's nothing to be gained anymore because they have been caught.
Yeah.
Okay? And this goes all the way into the city. This goes high up the chain. This was a massive setup and try to take away from, well, we know now, a divine being.
Yeah.
An archangel. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any of this stuff. I had no clue. Now, I don't know if I could say this, but I'm going to say it if you need to edit it. And you could probably edit that because...
We'll see.
But I'm not kidding. When my guy and I were split apart, even though we were going to split anyway because we weren't ready for it, these people interfered in this process, and it was all them that interfered with us. We should have stayed together, but no, we would have split away anyway.
I'm not going to edit.
Nope. But in that room of mine, while I was with my healer and reader, there was a lot of intimacy going on without the person even being there.
Yeah,
and
so
I had
5D,
a spirit child
5
in the universe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so talk about that. I'm not going to edit that. No, that's beautiful.
Okay. Now, wrapping my mind around this is getting better, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when you first learn this stuff, you don't know if it's real or not real. You don't know what is going on and how it can possibly be. But here you go. I had to trust the process. I had to have faith. And once I had the faith to trust the process and believe that what is real is true and it's happening, then it started being easier for me. Is when I was fighting it.
Of course,
it
yes.
wasn't.
Yes.
But when I had the child in the universe, I was in the universe having a child by my guy. I never had a child out of love before. This was the only way I was ever going to have a child out of love because I don't have anything to have a child with.
So, can you explain to people what you experienced in the astral? Like, that YouTube will allow.
In the universe?
Yeah, that you...
You know how powerful it is to have a child in the universe?
I've never
how powerful that
experienced
is?
it. No.
That is a huge availability of understanding of who you are. Not only can I create in the universe, so above, so below. So when I had the child in the universe, my guy was there to deliver that child.
Wow.
He had, this is going to be tough. He had her head and a little bit of her shoulders coming out of my womb.
Wow.
And I had her bottom and a little bit of her legs. And when I physically handed her to him 100%, I said, healer. Aminel is her name. Mm-hmm. Aminel is a spirit child. She's also an angel or an archangel. She goes by either or. I had an angel in a universe, which makes me an earth angel. Aminel was born on the land March 24th.
That's so beautiful, Trina.
Not only was she born on the land March 24th, 2024, I watched a YouTube channel from my guy in June, not in March, in June. Because, see, I was given that date when Ammonel was going to be born on the land. That date is the same day my guy was baptized.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
This connects to everything.
Everything is connected. Absolutely.
Energetically connected we are.
Mm-hmm.
This lifetime, last lifetime, all lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to destroy this because they knew how powerful it really is. Not was, is.
Right.
And it makes my heart beat to know that one day, someday, I'll be able to put this in a whole book.
Or make a movie. Both.
My story will be written.
Yep.
But wait a minute. It's already written.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the chapters that I might post here on my other Facebook page, you will see what I'm going through has already been what I'm going through now. I wrote about it before I even went through it.
Wow. You saw it before.
Yeah. Which amazes me as how can I do that? So, Ammonel was born on March 24th, 2024. I was sealed in February 22nd of 2024. I was meditating outside my backyard, and it was overcast. No sun, okay? No sun. And I just said, remove what does not serve me. And ASAP, I was on that land from my backyard. My spirit, myself, my soul went to my land. I'm facing north. I got my hand up on the west side, up, my right hand facing the east side, down, so above, so below, and bam, I had a diagonal force of light come through my body.
Wow.
I took a picture of my body, and I have a diagonal red line, massive. It was huge. It was 4 or 5 inches long or wide, and went diagonal my body. And if I did not take a picture of that, I would not know it existed, because I didn't feel it. What I felt was the energy coming through my body.
Wow, it's
And
incredible.
again, it was hard for me to hang on to.
Mm-hmm. So much force.
So I guess the moral of this whole thing, of this whole story, is if I would have gotten everything up to this point all at once, I would have had to have heart surgery or something. It would have been over with. It's too much.
Divine timing.
The energy, God's gifts, blessings, the love, everything, the light is so massive that in reality, even if we do want it right now, we couldn't handle it. We just couldn't.
Thank you for sharing
But
that.
if you allow yourself, and I can only say this now, okay? I couldn't have said it 2 years ago. Just couldn't have done that, okay? No. It was only from February till right now. I can honestly say this. I'm grateful that I did not cross the line with my guy when he held me in his arms. I wanted him really super bad, okay? That would have ended it right there. I would have never recovered. It would have been too massive, too much, and we would have lost each other forever. But we were strong enough to break apart generational curses right then and there, and we didn't even know it, actually. But we were able to do it right then and there. It was all the stuff in between that caused us to not know the truth of what was really going on with these people, because there was so many different scenarios. Yeah. It just wasn't one, me and my guy. No. It wasn't. It was a lot of little bitty scenarios all over. It was enough to keep you confused is what they wanted me to do.
Okay, exactly.
Keep
Chaos.
you confused enough to where you can't see the truth because you're so you're not worried. You're so busy trying to take care of problems that you can't even see the truth.
Right. Chaos, confusion, conflict.
Because you're too busy trying to do this or that.
Right.
Right. But when I finally just said enough and walked away from all of them, not just one, all of them, is when the noise stopped. And that's when I started understanding that these were all lessons that I had to learn. All of them. The only ones I didn't step away from is the person who's training me now, because he has no attachment to me whatsoever. He has no past history or no life, other lives with me or nothing. The other ones did. All of them did. Just because you have a past life history with someone doesn't mean they're going to change in this lifetime either. And guess what? None of them did. So I'm kind of like your walking karma, you know?
Yeah.
You had every opportunity to change, and you did not. And as long as, and this is what I said I would get back to, as long as you live your life out of love and light, and I was taught that by my Miss Ocean. Don't think this one didn't, help me a lot. But as long as you live out of love and light and not envy or jealous or hate, remorse or resentment, and probably other few choice words, you're going to be blessed.
Pure of heart.
And that's the whole thing. That's what you have to trust in. You're going to be blessed.
I love you too, Trina.
The land's not going to be taken away because I operate out of love and light.
That's right. That's correct.
My guy's not going to be taken away because I operate out of love and light.
That's right.
Not a lot of people will really believe that. And it took me 4 years. Well, no, not 4. It's been 4 years. It took me 2.5 years of negativity. And then it took me another, year, makes 3.5 years. So, yeah, these last 6 months are the only time that I finally learned what I needed to learn. Because I have the right people in front of me now. I don't have people trying to take my essence, my life, and drain me.
No,
not anymore.
You have people who want to see you soar and succeed.
And that's it. Most people don't look at it that way. If they looked at everybody, almost, let me back up a moment. So when a first person already decides to not treat you right, they already decided probably in the first 5 minutes they met you.
Right.
If they're really good at it. Then it probably takes them another couple of weeks to figure out, well, we're going to play this game on her or him. And you won't even know it.
Yeah.
They're phony energies, phony friends. But if you know nothing about energies, you're not going to see it or feel it.
Right.
Now, if somebody doesn't want me to soar in the first 5 minutes, which might be too soon for some, but when you've gone down a path that I went down to try to figure this out, now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Mm-hmm. I didn't get it before. I get it now. So my understanding of how people are going to treat me is probably going to be in the first few minutes. And then I might do something and see what they do afterwards. Now, that's not a game. That's not playing anybody for anything. Because I don't believe in games. I don't believe in playing with people's hearts or feelings or lifestyle.
Right.
That's a no-no. But what I have to understand now, based on who I am today and what I know,
yeah,
it's different.
Of course.
Yeah, that's my playing field out there. That's a whole different plane. I have a whole background. I have a backyard. Everything I ever wanted in this world is right out there and given to me. But wait a minute. How are you going to navigate it? You see, that's the difference. When you're awake, really awake, it's not the same.
Mm-mm.
It's not. And even though I say this and people are probably thinking, well, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that, really, really mean by that, you will move differently. You will not move the same. And you'll know that you woke up because you're not who you used to be.
Exactly.
You don't play with the same people the way you did. You might talk to them, but you have a different way of presenting a presence about you. You don't want to attract whatever entities or parasites or demons or whatever they call them, negative,
Onto you.
leeches,
Yeah.
on you.
Right.
And now I know that. I know that. You know, I knew that before, but I didn't know it like I know it now. When you're awake, you have a different concept and a different a direction about yourself that I'm still who I am, by the way. I'm still this feisty, fiercest, love to play, want to go, motorcycle riding, shoot handguns, and jump out of airplanes. Oh, yeah. Okay. 3 businesses. I'm all over it because I'm a hyper.
You're a
You didn't know that by
firecracker.
now.
I love
I'm
it.
a hyper individual. And
Yep.
I got to move. I got to play. I got to have fun. At the same time, I'm serious about what I do now.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see. Can I just say this?
So much as, no, you can't come in. My boundaries are now, I'm only going to give you so much. And if I don't see, or I do see, then we're going to change the field up a bit, or the boundaries in a different level.
Yeah.
Where I never used to be able to do that.
You have every right to set boundaries. Everyone does. To protect yourself, your essence, your heart, your journey, your ascension, everything that you're doing, your love. And the right people are going to respect that, and they're going to understand that, and they're still going to love you and still want the best for you and want to see you succeed.
I believe now that I didn't want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to believe that people could actually do this. Okay?
Yep.
I didn't. And until it happens to you, and I loved it when Huna looked at me and he says, Trina, you cannot know what you do not know. You're not stupid. You're not ignorant. You're not like, anything of you should have known. Like people say, well, that's common sense. Don't talk to me about common sense. Because if I would have known, you think I really would have put myself in this position?
No.
No. That's only defacing someone, devaluing somebody, not giving them credit. When you talk like that, you're really hurting the person's personality. Okay.
Right.
But when Huna said you cannot know what you do not know, that sat so hard in me because he's right. And now I say it a lot.
Yeah.
You cannot know what you do not know.
Yeah.
And don't let somebody say, well, you should have known that. No.
It wasn't the
It's
time to know.
only when you maliciously, deviously do it and you know that you knew. Like these people who did this to me know what they did.
Yeah.
Absolutely knows what they did.
Right.
And they took an innocent child that knew nothing. Even though I was 59, I knew nothing about the spiritual realm. I knew nothing about journeys. I knew nothing about twin flames. I knew nothing about essences. I knew nothing about this destiny, your soul mission, and I can go on. I knew nothing. And I had to learn real fast.
Yeah.
Real fast, because these people were hungry for me. They were like little piranhas, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was this guppy, okay? And I
Yeah.
got all these piranhas, but I don't have these piranhas anymore because I finally met a few people that were able to help me navigate out of the situation and finally let it go for the most part. My story is my story.
Yeah.
You know, that's just is what it is. But do I honor these people for this? I kind of thank them for it.
There you go.
Okay?
There you go.
I do thank them for it. I have to thank them for it, and I'll tell you why I have to thank them for
Mm-hmm.
it. Because it can't happen again.
Yeah.
They gave me a
It was a
lesson I will
lesson.
never forget.
Yeah.
And I still have life in me, and I survived. But I kid you not, the dark nights of the soul is tough and should not be taken alone and should not be by yourself. Because there was a couple times.
Careful, because I might have to edit. I know what you're going to say.
I will just say there was a couple times, okay? I won't say any more. But there was a couple times. But my guy's love is what kept me going.
Love is the greatest healer, the greatest gift, the greatest medicine, the greatest everything. God is love. Love is all we need.
That's what kept me going.
Right.
That's the only thing. And the only reason why I didn't do it.
Yep.
And then one time when I thought about it, I said, Trina, don't you dare. Don't you dare. But what I'm getting at is some people's are stronger than mine. Some people's dark nights of the soul are much worse than mine.
Yeah. They're rough.
What I'm saying, get help. If you really don't know what's going on and you feel like you're losing yourself and you're a prison in your own mind and you can't figure nothing out, it's time to get help.
I think it's really hard, Trina, because, okay, this is like you talk about your old reader and healer, and like you had gone through this and you got with these people who were like piranhas, right? Or like, for instance, I'm going to say me, like I went through, it almost is like it assists. So it's like, thank you for that. But yeah, like I was targeted too. And I didn't know what was going on. If I would have known, I would have done different, but it was supposed to happen the way it did. But it's like, it's very hard to find people that you can trust that will lead you on the right path when you're going through something like that. So part of you has to go through it alone, but also part of you needs to find good people. And that's what I like about this land is it's going to be a safe haven, like a sanctuary for people. They can come there and know that they're going to be safe and guided.
Okay, so let me kind of edit my own self. Because I agree with you. But when I'm talking about not doing it by yourself, I'm talking about when you've lost it.
Well, yeah, but if
you've gone too far, you tried too much, you tried to figure it out, and it didn't happen. So there was 7 months into my dark. It took me 11 months for my dark nights of the soul, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 11 months is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but in the 9th month, I said enough. I couldn't do it anymore. I said enough, and I went to a hypnosis person.
Exactly, a spirit. Yeah.
And this is where she took stuff out of me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then her question was to me, and I do believe the 2nd chapter you have. And her question to me was, what do you see? And I almost cried. What I saw was a woman, and we're going to call her Storm because that's who she is.
There you go.
She was geared up and dressed for battle by the Holy Spirit. Right. Her sword was up and ready to smite anything to get to the child. So there was entities swirling around Storm.
Right.
See, Storm was the protector all along to protect the child, which is Trina, because she was taken by an unknown man, and she was upstairs with her dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity was the outside shell.
Mm-hmm.
My soul was broken in 3 different places to save Trina. And it's even in scripture that if you feel that you are going to, under trauma, not make it, you can fracture, break your soul to
Yeah,
stay alive.
souls are fragmented. We have to heal our fragmented soul, our wounds.
You say, yeah, but this one didn't know about this.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But see, that's what we're talking about. It. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So when you're 11 months and you're 9 months into this dark nights of the soul, and you're like, what the hell is
True.
going? What, and what? And you've never acted this way. You can't even stand on your own 2 feet. You have no idea what's going on. Finally, I just said enough. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because nothing was sticking. I didn't know that the person that held me in his arms had attachments to him that attached to me.
Yeah.
Transferred to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So with that being said, that's how Storm, I wouldn't say existed. She was always there. But Storm's a fighter. Boy, she's high priestess now. Storm is now the high priestess because I ran when he held me in his arms.
Yeah.
Because I didn't run from him. I ran from the situation, but I didn't even know the situation. But Storm did.
Mm-hmm.
This all connects, and I can go deeper. I went to an REM after that. But then, my healer showed up on the 10th month, or the 11th month, excuse me. So 9 months into this, I get to the hypnotist. In 11 months, I get a healer and a reader. And I was so drawn because I needed help so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You see what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. I do.
They waited until they can actually do it. To where all I could think about was just being healed and getting back to my guy.
That's what they do, because that's what happened to me. That's what they do. Yep.
I almost put my hand on my head, going, really, please,
Yeah.
why? But when you have both sides of the spectrum, you have to know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only did this all happen, and I finally come to the people, which is yourself and Huna, because I'm in the belief that I'm going to hold the darkness long enough till the light comes in. I also give loving, healing feelings to my guy. I've never disconnected from him, and I'm not going to. They can't take that away from me now. There's not anyone. If my Most High God, Father, wanted him gone, it would have been gone.
Right.
Period.
I agree.
So I no longer, I just don't fight this stuff anymore. Okay? It's not like the Matrix. This is nothing compared to, the Matrix almost had it right, but not really. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even talk about the both sides, the light and the dark. They just don't. They put it in a different way. But to actually know that you're unplugged, I'm in meditation 24/7 most of the time. I would say most of the time. I take spiritual baths now that I didn't even know about until now. I do other things that I've been suggested to do because I really do want to go forward in a much cleaner presence.
Right.
I even do my house now. Whatever, spiritual tactics that will keep my stuff clean and safe,
Exactly.
I'm going to do it.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's wonderful. Oh, Trina. Okay. So, we are at 120, about 121. Is there anything that you want to leave for the viewers? Any guidance, any tips, any inspiration that you want to leave for them before we end our podcast this time?
I'm just learning. What I know is what I know now. What I spoke about, what I speak of in this podcast is really my level. That's it. And there's been things that I've already spoke of in this podcast that they can take guidance to.
Okay.
But I think my biggest one, and it really is my biggest one, is the dark nights of the soul. That right there is the hardest process of it all. Having people come after you is nothing compared to the soul and the ego fighting to stay alive. And that's not to scare anybody, but it's to let you know or to give some kind of insight that if you truly want to walk by faith and not by sight, the ego is going to fight that every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know.
Yeah.
That was hard. Okay?
The ego death.
Yeah.
The death of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Trina, I am very grateful that you shared this with me and everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time and being on here. I appreciate love you very much. So,
Well, I'm going to go take a spiritual bath now.
Okay. Enjoy your spiritual bath. I think that sounds like a wonderful idea. Yeah, go meditate. So let's thank everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is Trina Meeks, and we're grateful that you're here and you joined us today. And we're sending you love, light, peace, and blessings. And we pray that you are always surrounded by the Most High God's love, protection, and blessings. Bye, guys.